This is giving new players a chance to come out and play alongside with other senior players or U19 players, and have an actual course where you can go to get to the national team. I do have to comment though, I think it's tough in like a new sport when you kind of have like a beginning zone and then this roadway to the national team. And I think what is lacking is sort of the fun intermediate level of play. And that's, I think, where a lot of people grow their skill sets and their personalities and end up having fun playing the game. With cricket, I've noticed it gets pretty tough because you start playing, you're a beginner, and then you're on this pathway, and then you realize, geez, I'm only 1 or 2 clicks away from maybe getting on the national squad. So you get the taste for that, and the ups and downs can be pretty gnarly. Like if you don't end up making the team and your friend does, a lot of people may not bounce back from that type of thing. So I've noticed that is definitely a gap where we need to keep people involved, is sort of having that intermediate play zone where the stakes aren't so high, you can still play at a super highly competitive level, but you have somewhere reasonable to play that isn't just, hey, I'm either going to the national team or I'm quitting type of thing. And unfortunately, I have seen that happen with a couple of our teenage players who are super talented, and they felt like they might have gotten slighted on a selection or something, and then they end up not coming back. So if we really want to, address that issue, I think it'll be important to have more, recreation and intermediate cricket, where people are playing in a serious manner, but also having some fun and not having so much pressure. So passing the torch, part of that pathway kind of led to me going into retirement, reasonably so. By then I was suddenly in my 40s. I'm not sure how that happened. But since I had started relatively late, like for a national setup in my late 20s and my 30s, and then the pandemic happened. So I had thought I would have like my swan song tour. We were going to go on a trip to Sri Lanka, play in a qualifier, and I had expected that that would be waiting for me. And no one expected the global pandemic to happen. So next thing I knew, I'm aging up, I'm in my 40s, and these kids that were 13 or 14, all of a sudden they're 15 and they're eligible to get on the team. So it was a pretty big change in the team. They brought on 9 debutantes in 2021 who are like 15-year-old first-time cappers, and just made a real big shift in the program to get youth involved, which is awesome for the sport, and it's amazing. But obviously from a personal level, for me, for my ego, my resentments, it was hard to take at the time. But I found some new hobbies. As you can see, I've become a latte art master with my coffees. I'm trying to find an identity off the field. I've actually gotten way back into like the ocean and boogie boarding, surfing, stuff like that. And after I ended up, getting some help for myself, talking to a therapist, meeting with some groups, addressing some of the issues I was having off the field so I could get my mind right again, I got myself certified as an ICC Level 2 coach, and I was able to coach in the women's pathway last year for the USA Cricket Pathway. So I think that was a big challenge that a lot of us forget too, is like just preparing for your time after sport and how you're going to be able to give back, to something that gave me so much, but just realizing I needed some more tools in my toolkit to kind of deal with the pandemic and my anxiety and a lot of the places that I thought I was wronged, and things like that. So that was a big step to take forward. And to mention just a few other call outs of the women that kind of helped to kind of get me those places and help the USA team. Julia Price, she's a former Australian Test cricketer. She coached our USA team for a period of time. She's huge on cricket development, especially with associate nations. She's a highly established professional cricketing commentator. When I first met her, actually, when I heard her voice, I was like, oh, cool, that's the one I heard on the WBBL. I can't believe she's here. But the big thing for her personally is the way she helped guide our team through the COVID-19 pandemic, both with bringing in resources, mental health types of things, group activities, food diaries, bringing all of us together and helping basically this shift where the youth was coming on board into USA Cricket and the seniors had to kind of find an avenue of life outside of cricket. So she's one of my big call-outs. Julie Abbott as well has been a key figurehead in development for USA Cricket. She's co-founded a group called Can-Am, and what they really did was help bridge the gap between like players in other countries and players here in the US. So she would bring like a global 11 to come play us for an exhibition game where we would actually get to see the fielding prowess and like skill set of like English players. She brought over the captain of the England team, Charlotte Edwards, to come meet us. She's been a big part of Fairbreak Global, and she's also the one who called me after I was not selected for the team and having those rough years, feeling sorry for myself and muting everyone's posts on Instagram, right? Because I couldn't see anything. She called me and asked, hey, do you want to get certified to become a coach? We have a program kicking off in Brazil. I think you'd be good for it. So I think people who are bringing those opportunities, extending them to others so we can keep that going. She was a big critical person for me. This is just more of how she got us access to these really amazing fields. The Marion Cricket Club in Philadelphia also got us to Lord's in England and got us just basically access to like Susie Bates, the New Zealand captain, Charlotte Edwards, and amazing opportunities. And Charlotte, I bring up again, she started a foundation here that really wants to get cricket going at a grassroots level in North America. And what I really respect about her too is when she stopped playing for the England national team, and she was still at the top of her game, but I think the administration just wanted to go a certain way. Within a couple months, she was over here in the US teaching us a master class and talking to us, helping our girls develop. She didn't need to take that 1 or 2 years to feel sorry for herself. So I just find it really empowering that she did that, and she's still a big figure in helping to grow cricket here, especially with the Olympics coming up. Another local nonprofit organization that has just started recently is Aspire Cricket. Actually, a couple of my friends are part of this program, and the current, or most recently current U.S. national captain, along with Julia Price. And they're really making a point to kind of break down the barriers of accessibility, get cricket to low-income neighborhoods, get cricket to people who've never heard of it and can't afford the equipment or can't access the equipment at all. Because it's not an easy thing to get like an English willow bat. You can't really, you used to not be able to order one on Amazon. We would have like, if one of our teammates was going on vacation to India or something, they'd bring an extra bag and just bring us back a bunch of bats and balls. So groups like Aspire are teaming up with like MLC teams and other community organizations to really help make cricket like a community, fun, accessible thing. And just other opportunities in USA Cricket. There's more women who are certified to coach now than have ever been. We have more female umpires. We've got like a rookie league program where they're trying to incorporate cricket into schools, get little kids to play. And there's also some great exposure with women's cricket on local podcasts like Emerging Cricket and Big Innings. So just have to give them a shout out there, because prior to these years, it was typically always our men's team that was getting posted on Instagram and stuff. And I just think it's great that it's been balanced out a little more, or if there's good things going on with the women's team, that needs to be broadcasted as well. They also had female internship roles, getting females into media and creative positions as well. So they were writing articles, taking pictures, that kind of thing. And now the youth in the US, they're earning their reputation. They're making some landmark strides out there. We had Chetna, CRP, got a 136 unbeaten, which is the highest score on debut in any ODI team ever. She's only 16 years old. She's ambidextrous. I had her on my pathway team. People like this are the future of cricket. Our U19 women's team was just in Malaysia this last month. They had a big upset win against Ireland. And they also had one of their bowlers, Ritu Singh, took a 5-wicket haul, which was pretty incredible. And they're out there looking like a team, like looking like athletes. It's really amazing just to see in the last 10 years kind of where it started as the motley crew making the best of what they got, people showing up, putting their bodies into space, kind of where it's going with these young, vibrant girls making the most of the advantages they have. So I got to wrap this up. This is pretty much going to be my last one. So I just like to always ask, like, what can you do in your little world? A lot of stuff is out of our hands, politically, business-wise, decisions, that type of stuff. But what can you do to make someone more comfortable, like in your community? Take them out to lunch, loan them your equipment, teach them something about the sport or the recreation sports that you're passionate about. And I think this is all just going to keep moving in a really good direction as we head to the LA Olympics in 2028. So that's all for me. I have my email up there. I'd love to keep in touch. Thank you, everybody. And I don't know if we have time for questions or...